Well, Mr. Chairman and friends, I'm very proud tonight to nominate Barbara Beardsley for the New Democratic Party candidate in St. Andrews St. Patrick.
I've tried to state how my views of feminism are integral to my views of socialism.
I believe that Alan Powell is an urban man in this most urban of ridings.
I think the time has come to win, and you and I can do it together. Thank you.
There were 2 spoiled ballots. There were 141 ballots for Alan Powell and 245 for Barbara Beardsley.
I know you're all tired. I'm tired. It's been fun. Some of you know I started out as a reluctant candidate. Once I got out on the street and started bicycling and started walking up and down and knocking on your doors and talking to you and telephoning, I knew I wanted to do it.
Ontario's voters go to the polls on Thursday, September the 18th. The announcement was made this afternoon by Premier William Davis, who said there would be a no-nonsense campaign with the economy a central issue for his Conservative Party. He accused the federal Liberals of providing insufficient leadership and of enriching governments at the expense of Ontario industry and consumers. And he took this indirect swipe at the leader of the Liberal opposition in Ontario, Robert Nixon.
I can understand and even sympathize.
I've worked in the riding for 15 years now, and I would never have realized that I was working towards this. But I realize now that my roots do go deep in here. I live, work, my kids go to schools here. We go to church here, Bathurst Church, which has always been involved in the community, and all my riding activity has been here. And when I accepted the job of being a candidate, I didn't do it lightly because having worked in every single campaign since 1961, I realize it's a hard job. But I think it's the commitment to both NDP and to the idea that we need more women involved at all levels.
Another Davis government. On September 18th, vote Liberal.
We came second last time, a very strong second. We only lost by approximately 700 votes, which is a very close race in a cabinet, fighting a cabinet minister. The redistribution hurt us, yes, and that's a disadvantage. We're still second. If you want the figures, the 71 results put on the 75 boundaries are Progressive Conservatives 14,160, Liberals 4,739, the NDP 7,642. The percentages, that does give the Tories a 52.2% and it gives us a 28.2%. Well, to be quite honest, it is going to be a hard fight. I'm not a campaign manager. I'm very new at this, very inexperienced, but I'm not one that goes in and tells people we're going to win right from the beginning. We'll know by the end of the second canvass how realistic our chances are. We're going to be second, regardless of anything. We want to win. We were second last time. We want to win this time. And I think that I haven't given the battle up by any means.
We'll save our island home. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. We'll save our island home. We're all aware that politics are often pretty grim. We're all aware that politics are often pretty grim. But we can't give up our houses for a politician's whim. When we'll save our island home.
However, we do have with us today 2 of the candidates who are going to attempt to win our favor in the coming provincial election. And we have regrets from Fred Cann, who is the Liberal candidate in this area, who has unfortunately had to go to Vancouver and is unable to be with us today. Okay, would you like me to flip a coin?
Sure.
Heads the lady, tails the gentleman. That's a political statement.
The fight of the Islanders is the fight that the NDP has been fighting
for many a community.
For me, one of the key issues is the whole preservation of communities. And, you know, but people don't use those terms, preservation of communities. They'll talk about what the Spadina Expressway is going to do, or the islanders will talk about what is happening to them. The people in Grange Park will talk about the hydro block or about the expansion of the hydro transformer. And I suddenly realized that it was, you know, that's a term we have, preservation of communities. They're just all expressing them in different ways.
To say, let's save all the islands of homes across St. Andrew, St. Patrick. Thank you.
I'm not a Johnny-come-lately to these islands.
I'm Larry Grossman. I'm a 31-year-old lawyer, father of 3 children. Children are 4, 2, and 1. I'm a graduate of the University of Toronto Osgoode Hall Law School, and I'm practicing law. Well, this is my 7th year. It's my wife,
But I don't see any signs making fun of Alan Grossman here today. And I'm not saying to you that I hope you'll give me your support, because I'm Grossman's son. Who's he? He's the man that for 25 years, since
there
he
was
first
the
represented
odd
the
time
island,
you hear some of critics, not too often, I think I've heard it maybe half a dozen times in this campaign, that Larry was trying to get in on his father's name. Well, what they're really saying is that Larry happens to have a father who I think whose name he ought to be proud of because of his political experience and the service he's given to his province. On the other hand, Larry, being a very independent character, refuses to let anyone make the mistake of thinking that they might be supporting the old man. He has insisted on every piece of literature that his first name is prominently displayed.
I've got my picture on my sign. I'm the only candidate here who has my picture on my sign. I could have hidden behind the big name Grossman. I got my first name in large letters, my almost same size as my last name. I've got my picture on the sign. My brochures have my own independent thoughts in them, and I'm definitely trying to establish an entirely individual image.
As I've been bicycling up and down the streets of St. Andrew, St. Patrick, and knocking on the doors, I've been asking people, have you ever considered voting for the NDP? 41% of you people in this riding voted NDP in the last election, and more people are listening to us as we talk about our consistent policies on housing, community preservation, land use, energy, conservation. The NDP team is ready to serve you.
Larry Grossman of the Progressive Conservative.
Well, Mrs. Beardsley's right. 41% of the people in the old St. Andrew St. Patrick riding voted NDP, but unfortunately in the new St. Andrew St. Patrick riding, 26% of the people voted.
Yeah, my name is Fred Can. I'm 35 years old. I'm a practicing lawyer, neighborhood lawyer, practicing on the corner of Spadina and College. A lot of hard work has to be done in knocking the door and trying to meet as many voters as possible. I think it's a three-way race. When I started, I was 1 week ahead of the other 2 major candidates. I had my campaign headquarters secured, and all my signs were printed. But you know, the Tory party is famous for its money, and there are a lot of things that money can buy, and the NDP traditionally, they have a great number of workers. So I think we're neck to neck now, and it can be any one of us can win.
Well, it's not that quixotic. In this riding, in St. Andrew St. Patrick, it used to be just called St. Patrick, there was a communist candidate elected in 1943. He served continuously until 1955. However, we see our role as being the very crucial one of forcing various issues to get raised. If we didn't raise the issues of monopoly control of the economy, if we didn't raise issues like taxing the corporations, nationalizing resources, then nobody would.
Provincial topics. Go ahead, sir. My name is Zoltán Szoboszlói. I am independent candidate for the Spadina, but they refused to let me run because I want to serve the people, not the British Crown. My allegation, with one ass, nobody can sit on 2 horses. And this candidate got the flag.
This is a question, I presume, though.
Yeah.
after the election, this candidate are going to swear allegiance to the British flag, what they got in the back.
Sounds like you're making a speech to me.
Or to the
Good morning.
Kennedy.
I'm Barbara Beardsley, I'm the NDP candidate, and I really just came around to say hello. Are you on the voters list? Are you Cam Lowe or Das Dippin?
Oh, you want Das Dippin?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Mr. Das?
You're not voting yourself?
Yeah, but I'm not on the list.
Have you sent your name in?
No, not yet.
The problem is an enumeration problem. Over 9,000 people have been left off between the 71 lists and the 75 lists for the same boundaries. So, since the enumeration started 2 weeks ago, 3,000 people have been added, but that still leaves 6,000 people off the list. The other concern is that it's in our strong areas, south of Bloor. We're spending a lot of time and energy, which we should be spending campaigning, trying to clean up enumeration. And after 3 days, it's too late. There's no way they can get on after September 10th.
Do you know what we stand for?
No, actually, I not know. I read other topics in newspapers.
But Stephen Lewis is our
Je viens de dire que c'est un comté qui est extrêmement varié. Il y a 57 nationalités représentées dans le comté. Et c'est extrêmement varié aussi quand ça vient au revenu des gens.
Housing seems to be a theme in this campaign. What is the housing situation in your riding?
Approximately 65% of the people in this riding are in a rental accommodation. And one group of people who are being very badly hurt are the people on fixed incomes. I visited a person in a high-rise apartment last weekend. They have always, the man is 89, the woman is 80. They've always lived on their own income. The rents have risen twice in the last 2 years. They are now asking for senior citizen housing. You know, the indignity to their life is, and that, you know, it's only a single instance.
So far, I've been asking the question, is there any other subject that you would like to touch upon?
Well, one of the obvious things is that I'm a woman candidate because I don't feel that we have nearly enough women in Parliament at either the municipal, provincial, or federal level. And what happens is that issues which affect women are not given any kind of priority. It isn't a deliberate thing, perhaps. It's that it just, to a male legislator, it is not important that he cannot get credit. It is not important that he is not making equal pay for work of equal value. The whole issue of daycare it's important to families, to men, women, and children. And you know, the lack of daycare facilities is a very strong issue.
I usually have your sign in the window too, but the lady hit me when I was in the basement, or the man. Somebody came to the door. Your son.
To say something about the leaflet,
Yeah, what would you like to
which impresses me. You've seen it out there behind the table already. I want to tell you about how it finally came to be chosen as the second leaflet. St. Andrews has always been a little uneasy in recent years in its relationship with Stephen. But lo and behold, here you have a leaflet with a page with Stephen Lewis centerfold. And that is a person who looks as though he should be hanging in the galleries down there at the legislature as premier of the province. The beauty of this leaflet is that I think you can find almost anything that fits in with your particular canvassing style. We need to tell you that everyone canvasses differently, and everyone approaches the voters differently. Some of us are ideologues, and there is plenty of solid content in here. Some of us prefer to talk about the person we know, because that's why we're sweating our guts out. And there's something about Barbara. There's a bit of a biography, a couple of good pictures. You can start with those if you like at the door.
We're here for Barbara Beardsley. We missed you last time. Did you get the literature we left for you?
Yep, I got it.
Oh, that's good. Have you ever considered voting for Barbara? Do you know?
I didn't know too much about her until just that article I read in, you know, in that little thing you gave. One more time.
You're just splitting your cigarette, that's fine.
Okay, well, if you, I'll have a drag off yours. Alice, who are you?
No, I'm Alice Barreca, and I'm a homemaker.
Yeah, I'm Joan Hall, and I'm a homemaker, too. But I also work.
Yeah.
Right.
And for the NDP.
Well, right now we're working for the NDP in our spare moments. And this is our first time.
Yes.
First time for doing this kind of work, and it's the first time to be involved with the NDP. Well, it just depends on what happens when the neighbor opens the door. It's always different. I don't think I really plan on what I'm going to say.
So let's take three cases. He's sympathetic to the NDP. What do you say then?
The YMHA. Welcome their support. Glad to know them. Try to fill them in on any information they might not have heard about.
Right. What about if he's so-so, like half or undecided?
I'll try to encourage them to read the literature.
Yeah.
And find out if there's anything that does concern them.
And if he is violently opposed to the NDP and all that?
Well, it's pretty obvious when the door slams.
Oh,
and we just go.
We move along.
Do you get discouraged if they slam door?
No. Well, sometimes I'm not expecting. I get a little frightened.
Yes.
But no.
Yeah, okay. Barbara can count on our vote.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Well, I only went to Australia for 2 weeks. I was only gone for 2 weeks. And before I left, I went to Ottawa to work in Stu Findlay's campaign. And I put put a day in there. Then whipped off to Australia. Now I'm back to put a day in for Barbara. And then I'll be back to work in terms of my own nomination in Vancouver Broad. So it's a cocktail party.
Exactly. The one that was supposed to be relaxing, a picnic, was going to be an old-fashioned picnic outside, and they had people in old hats and things. And it rained out, we had to run into a house, and then it turned into something that was much more formal. And what was maddening about that one was everybody sat around drinking beer, but they didn't offer the candidates anything.
And they never offer you time to go to the bathroom either. There are a couple of things you find out about being a candidate. You don't eat, and you never relieve yourself.
He's taping all this, you know.
You're not. Oh. We just have to get it edited.
Has anybody told you your schedule, aside from the bits and pieces I've given you, or have they?
Kay's given me. She says I start at 10. That's all.
10 to 11:30, and that's up in Forest Hill, which is the very top of the running where Larry Grossman comes from, and where we think we're making some gains. And the way I think I could use you there is if I get you to describe what happens in BC. For the same, I'd have to
We obviously cannot say one thing in the south and another thing in the north. I think we have to present ourselves in the north in our best light, perhaps.
Give you a chance to speak.
Maybe you don't march to the door and announce that you're in favor of nationalizing with a grocery list. But you have to be truthful, and you have to answer truthfully, because winning one particular election is not the game. It's eventually to. I would love to see the NDP representing me municipally, provincially, and federally. I'm just so tired of being represented by the boobs that represent me now, with the exception of Dan.
Some of the people that's in this riding.
Oh, yeah.
Against that, and it's going to be a rally.
Yeah!
No.
Yeah, let's hear from Mr. Stephen Lewis.
And party exhilaration at coming in after so many weeks in the campaign to a gathering like this in metropolitan Toronto. It makes me proud to be your leader and proud of this party of ours. For the Tories, an inelegant and undignified retreat. For the Liberals, a campaign of confusion and malice. For the New Democrats, just 5 days more. And I guess what I want to say to all of you, our friends and colleagues in this campaign, work the next 5 days. Spend every waking hour you have canvassing, spreading the word, talking about the issues, reinforcing what we have said centrally with what you say at the door. We've conducted an honorable campaign. We've conducted a campaign which has stayed with the issues. We've conducted a campaign which has used vivid human illustrations to give substance to the programs we put to the people of Ontario. Nothing else matters for the New Democratic Party. If we don't deal that way politically, there is very little rationale for a party like ours. We have to set out the issues, document them, do it at the doors as well as through the media. That's what gives the party substance. That's what gives the party a lasting resilience.
It's good when somebody says right away, that's my party. But I think I feel better if after talking to them I have convinced them to vote for the party for a good reason. But it's so repetitious. I feel as if I've said the same thing so many times that it's not even going to come through very sincerely. Have you ever considered voting NDP yourself?
Maybe.
We have a very good chance in this riding this time because it is three-way. And we think the kind of program we're talking about, the cost of food and the cost of housing.
Go up every day.
Cost of fuel. Do you own the place here? Or
I own the place.
Yeah. One of the things that we're saying is that the property tax should be changed so that the education tax doesn't come off of property but is a graduated income tax, and that would cut your property tax in half. It's one thing that could be...
That one can be good, because all of the guys, all of the people, whatever they have a little property, whatever they squeeze, whatever they got a little bit of property. So if I go live in an apartment, so the owner is going to rest me up or whatever is it, and forget about it. See? Because if you figure out that whatever you invest, and whatever you get for this property, the tax is too much.
Well, let me give you my card.
All right. Please, thank you.
Nice to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
You're welcome.
I met them in Major Street, and I met some of them in Robert.
How would you vote if you were voting tomorrow?
I would vote for the NDP.
Why?
Because I think Barbara Beardsley is the kindest.
About 5 million people are eligible to vote in Ontario's 30th general election today. The speeches have been made, and so have the promises. Now it's up to the people of the province to choose who among the record number 454 candidates in 125 ridings will form the next government.
And I think that in our particular riding, we'll end up running first, to the NDP second, and the Liberal third. I think that we'll be about even coming north to Bloor. We might be a little bit behind coming to the CPR tracks. We will pick up strength coming up the hill to from Casaloma, and we should do very well north from St. Clair.
Right now, with our tallies last night, it's a three-way split. We don't have enough ticks to win straight off. We know that the Tory and the Liberal have to split the other 60% of the vote. If they split it fairly evenly, we can win. We're hoping to pull all of our vote in our strong areas, which is the south and the central part of the riding, and we're pulling what we've got in the north. But, if the rain doesn't keep them away and the turnout in the north is as heavy as it has been all morning, we could lose the election, and Larry Grossman, could win.
I think the swing provincially is towards the Liberals. I expect a Liberal government will be elected, probably a minority government, not a majority government, despite what Mr. Nixon says. And I believe Mr. Can's going to be on the government side, but it's going to be really close. It's going to be within 1,000 votes, whoever wins it.
Ontario election 75. Good evening, Ontario. This is Harry Brown in the Central Election Studios of the CBC with our entire team of reporters, and for the remainder of this evening, we'll bring you the results of the voting for the 30th provincial parliament since Confederation.
Here's the headquarters. 113, go ahead. Beardsley 13. Cunningham 1. Grossman 76. Cam 40.
Poll 52. Yeah. Beardsley 97. Grossman 57. Okay. 48 for Kahn. Cunningham 3. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye. We got half of Alexander Park. Half of Alexander.
I know.
Poll 40. Beardsley 90. Cunningham 3. Grossman 45. Kahn 49. Rejected 2. Okay. Okay. Great.
Starts to look like a solid New Democrat plot
Alan,
across
accept
western
those
lakeshore of Toronto.
Okay, here they are.
Okay. Let's get a couple more. Let's get a couple more subtotals.
Okay.
You
have 22 votes there.
221.
Looking at some of the ridings in western Metro, west of Yonge Street, Bill Harris.
Well, we have a number of electeds here in Dovercourt. The NDP has won that riding from the Vern Singer re-elected for the Liberals. In St. Andrews, St. Patrick's, the Conservatives retained that with Larry Grossman taking over from his cabinet minister father who retired. In Mississauga South, Doug Kennedy re-elected. In Brampton, the Premier re-elected. In Humber, Labour Minister John Macbeth re-elected for the Conservatives. In St. Louis, Martin Kennedy re-elected for the Liberals. In Lakeshore, the NDP retained the NDP in the NDP retained that. The NDP has taken over there. The Conservatives are last. They have are second.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We're going to hear from Stephen Lewis at his campaign
here
headquarters.
for a moment and thank you with every emotion and feeling I have, you, my colleagues and workers in Scarborough West, for the finest New Democratic victory that riding has ever had.
The latest figures give the Conservatives 49 elected and 2 leading for a total of 51. The New Democrats with 37 elected and 1 leading for a total of 38. The Liberals with 33 elected and 3 leading for a total of 36.
I also want to thank Ontario. I want to thank the voters of Ontario who played...
Marilyn has just phoned them to me. The figures are 8074 for Grossman, 7627 for Barbara, 6012 for Kahn, and 333 for Cunningham. In terms of percentage, what it works out to is that Grossman got 36.6% from 52. We got 34.6 from 29. And Kahn has 27.3 from 17. I don't know what these mean. I honestly don't know. There are 4 or 5 people in the basement trying to decide what we do about it. I just don't know. At the moment, the returning officer, Leslie Singer, has figures which show us to be 400 behind, or thereabouts.
My friends and colleagues in the New Democratic Party, I admit to you with immense pleasure that it's wonderful to have, for a change, a political victory rather than a moral victory.